live streaming.
Okay. Yeah.
Just push got it. Then I have to pause it so we don't have a lag because we'll have an echo.
Oh, okay.
Oops. Why does it say, it says that we're going live in 4 minutes and 31 seconds.
That's weird. I just got the notification saying it was being live streamed.
There it is. Okay, now we're live. We must be live because it came on. This is doing all sorts of weird things to me today.
Good.
Okay, so let's hopefully, and I always share this into the Gently Led Sisters group. So let me do that.
Okay.
Just so that they can, I'll put the link in the post I did about you.
Okay.
Volume. Okay. Paste that in there. Okay. It's live. Yes, so we have Julia and Raquel on already. So it is working. Finally. Sorry, guys. We're having a little bit of weird technical things going on here. So
yeah.
Sorry for my backdrop and all the wrinkles. Just don't look at it. We are in the process of remodeling my husband's office, church office. So that is why this whole setup, and Katherine has a prettier background than I do. But thank you for joining. We have not really even chatted much about this. It's kind of been, I've been like non-professional the last 2 months when it comes to this because life is so busy for us. So
yeah. We're both busy.
Yes, very, very busy. And I kind of reached out to her, I don't know, a while ago. And then she was scheduled for last week. Then they got the stomach flu everyone's gotten.
Yeah.
So it's been fun. And you're about to have a baby. So I wanted to have you on before you had your baby.
Yeah, that's why I messaged you. I was like, I can come on this week because we don't know what's going to happen going forward.
Yes.
So.
And you don't know if you're having a boy or girl, correct?
No. We have 4 boys already. So I'm kind of assuming it will probably be another boy, just so I'm not disappointed.
Yes. I don't know. I have a feeling it might be different this time. My husband always wanted to not find out, but I think we didn't find out for two of them, but I got my way with the other ones.
Yeah.
I was able to find out with the other 6, but yes. Yeah. So I have been following your channel for a little bit. I mean, I'm just going to put that disclaimer out there. I'm not good at sewing and I actually don't like it very much. So back when you were doing your sewing things, I would watch one here or there, but it's not my interest. It's not my forte. And then, but hair care is. So I did the natural curl thing yesterday.
Nice.
And so I have natural curls as well. And I've tried the curly girl method. Have you ever heard of that?
Oh yeah. I talk about that on my video. Oh yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So yeah, the curly girl method. And I did go for a while without shampoo on my hair. And I'm going to ask you all the specifics of what you do with your hair and, how you wash it or whatever. And I have a lot of stuff pulled up, ladies. While she's talking, I might screen share and I'm going to show you her whole website, her YouTube channel, which just has exploded. And that's actually when I hadn't even kept up very well. I'm a busy mama. I don't keep up with a lot of
me too.
YouTube things. You know how it is.
Yeah, me too.
So one of your videos about historical hair care came up on my reels, just a random reel. Wow. And I was like, whoa, I know this lady. And then I started watching I went over to your channel and I noticed it just exploded.
Yeah, it's been pretty crazy. It's been definitely just changes your whole mindset.
Yes, you're viral now.
Yeah, it's crazy.
You can officially call yourself a YouTuber or what is it? An influencer, right?
Yeah, I know. I don't like that term influencer.
I don't either, but you actually are because a lot of the things that you suggest people will buy or try, and that's what an influencer is. So let's go ahead and introduce yourself. Tell us about your family. Tell us what got you. I know obviously sewing kind of segued into hair care and all that, but tell us a little bit about your background with just introduce yourself. I guess.
Sure. I'm Katherine. I am a mom of 4, soon to be 5, and I live with my husband, who we've been dating since high school. And we both grew up in this very small rural area up in Northern Ontario. And now we're living in Southern Ontario in Windsor, which is right across the river from Detroit. And we live in this 100-year-old house. I've always liked historical things. Even in high school, I remember trying to do like 1950s or 60s inspired hairdos with the poofiness. And I always liked vintage clothing, but I was just finding whatever I could find in stores. And then when we got married, of course, we didn't have much money. We were living on love. So I went through a phase of just shopping at thrift stores and finding what I could wear there. But at some point, I sort of revived my interest in sewing because I did learn how to sew as a child. And I started getting into sewing clothing and sewing the types of clothes that I actually wanted to wear. And that was really cool. And then at the beginning of 2020, I started my YouTube channel right before finding out I was pregnant with baby number 4. And so it sort of just like the channel's just kind of grown with me over time. And I guess it was really funny, the story of how the hair care video came about, because I've always been passionate about hair care, at least for the past several years anyway. I've been passionate about it, but it wasn't something I thought anyone would be interested in. So I was just kind of quietly doing my own natural hair care routine while making these videos all about sewing and sort of trying to fit into this niche that I identified of historical sewing, and just thinking if I just keep going, my channel will eventually blow up. And but then one day, I guess I had a couple requests here and there, like, could you share your hair care routine? And I was like, yeah, sure, I'll do that at some point. But I kept just kind of like pushing it off because I just figured no one's going to be interested in that, whatever. And I did end up filming a few little things here and there of me doing my hair, and then just forgetting about that footage for many months, until one day I was like scrolling through old photos and I saw those clips and I was like, hey, those actually look like pretty cool. Like, my hair is pretty long. Like, maybe someone will be interested in this. So I just did a quick like Instagram stories poll showing one of the clips and being like, would anyone be interested in seeing a hair care routine video? And then I checked a few times on the results of that poll and it seemed like no one said yes. So I was like, oh yeah, no one's interested. But then the next day, somehow I like checked back and it was like tons of people had responded and said, yes, we're interested. So then I went ahead and filmed the whole video. And the whole time I was working on that video, I kept feeling a little bit skeptical about it. My husband kept being like, are you sure this is going to go over well? And I was like, yeah, there's been other people who have sewing channels who talk about hair care. It'll be fine. And then I posted it and it just like blew up. And it blew up at a time when it was really obviously like an answer to prayer, because we were going through a bit more of a rough financial time. It wasn't awful, but basically my husband was just having to think about like getting a job outside the home, which was a big thing for us because he'd always worked from home. And just especially with the fact that I'm going to be having a baby, it's nice for him to be home. So it was definitely an answer to prayer that that video exploded when it did, and it helped my channel grow. And now it's actually a good income source. So yeah, it's been great. So here we are now.
Yes. When you go viral, when you become an actual influencer, it can be very, very good for you. And I've heard a lot about husbands. I know I follow this Crunchy Mama one. You've probably seen her videos before. And at first it was her just putting all her content out, never anything with her husband. Well, after eventually now she's very viral. Her husband's in almost every video with her now. So it tends to, the husbands kind of get on board. And then a lot of times they'll go down to just their income. I was looking at one of these YouTube video. My kids, Kelly likes this one YouTube, and I just Googled how much they made. And obviously this isn't you because they have like millions of subscribers, but they made 2.45 million pounds a year doing that channel. And it was just like these cringy little videos of like the granny and sisters, 2 sisters or something, but it can be a good source of income. I am not a girl, so mine has never been a good source of income. It's mainly just a ministry for me. I don't make any money off of it, but I did want to show let me see. I did want to show, first of all, your YouTube. It's very, I love your graphics. Now, does your husband help you with the graphics and things?
When we first started the channel, he actually edited all my videos. So if you watch my very oldest ones, he edited those. But starting from about 2021, I would say I started editing them all because it was just easier
Okay.
for me because I knew what I wanted. So now
Right.
I do all the editing. But yes, he made my banner and
Yes, I
he
like
does
that.
help with a lot of the technical things, just not the actual editing.
I absolutely love vintage, old
Yeah.
fashioned. I'm a girly girl, so I
Yeah.
love these type of things. You make your own shoes, which is
Yeah.
crazy to me, who is not a sewing person.
Yeah.
But I know a lot of your shorts get a lot of traction. And so,
Mhm.
yeah, you
Yes,
have
Paul's been actually editing these for me lately, just because I've
nice.
been too busy, but
Right. And
yeah.
I don't think people realize what goes into a video. I've actually just been, I know I do it the easy way just because I don't have the time to put into it, but I just do TikTok and then I upload it to all my other platforms. But when
Yeah.
I was researching, there are different ways you can do these shorts, and it's really difficult learning this stuff.
Oh yeah, it's pretty fun. Yeah, people who just watch videos often don't appreciate all the work that goes
No.
into making these things.
No, and we were talking about your audio. I love your audio on your videos, and you
Oh,
always wear
thank
this little
you.
microphone. So audio is very key. I know my husband, when he works with Paul Wittenberger, that's one of the biggest things is the audio for the documentaries.
Yeah, audio is so
Very
important.
picky. Yes, very, very picky. But you notice you have a lot of sewing ones at the beginning,
Yeah.
all these sewing ones you've done, but then as you go up, suddenly
Yeah. Yeah, that's a whole other story. That's a whole
742,000.
yeah. Yeah, because ever since the hair care video has blown up, it's been great, but it's sort of introduced this dilemma of like, do I just do hair care? So lately that
Right.
has been what I've been doing simply because I don't have time to put into a video that I know is probably not going to do as well as a hair care video, you know?
Right, right,
So,
exactly. I watch this one. I like the milk braids. Jen
oh
Bay
yeah.
does these too.
Yeah.
She likes that. She has got really pretty hair, just like you. Very
Oh yeah.
long, um, very thick hair. So she is blessed with that. But look at how long your hair is now. You
Yeah,
can't
it's up my
really.
tailbone now. I can't believe it.
Wow, that's awesome. And then
Yeah.
I watched this one too, the hair gel. That was very intriguing to me because as a girl with curly hair,
Mhm.
and I just use the cheapo Walmart,
Yeah.
hair care stuff when we're gonna get into that. My friend was like, my friend Nicole was like, make sure you ask her about natural hair care. And I'm like, Nicole, I think that's all she uses.
Yeah, it's all
So
natural.
yes. So check her channel out. It's just under Katherine Sewing.
Yeah.
And she's got a lot of these videos. And then we've also got she's got a website. Can you see that? Did it switch to that?
Yeah, yeah, so that's
Okay.
my page where I have a bunch of links to products on Amazon that I recommend
Yes. And that's what
for
I
hair
was
care.
going to ask you about
Mhm.
because I do want to start trying this. I might start trying after I talk to you. You might motivate me. You might
Yeah.
influence me to go more
Yeah.
natural. And one of these is I do not have this. So I was just looking up on Amazon. I just looked up boar brushes
Mhm.
just to kind of see. And yeah, I was looking those up
Yeah.
just
Yeah,
to
they're a
see.
great tool.
And you've got a lot of different options here.
Yeah, yeah,
I've
well, when I
used this
started
before.
recommending, the products, certain of them would just, like, get sold out, it seemed like, really fast. So then we'd have to
Oh,
have, like, alternate
nice.
options.
See, you're an influencer. And
Yeah, I know,
obviously,
it's so
you
weird.
I know. It is. But oh, I like this.
Yeah, those are great. I love those. I've just discovered those recently because the woman who makes them reached out to me and asked if I would try it. So she sent me one for free. And I don't recommend
Nice.
anything that I don't actually like. And I genuinely
Right.
love these things. Like there's different ones. So you can get like a bigger one to put your whole hair up into a bun or very like basically any type of style. But it does it in a way that's very gentle and very easy to get in and out of your hair. So yeah,
That's
I definitely
I
recommend
like that
those.
one. But yeah, there's just a lot of different things. I've actually used quite a bit. Oh, this is a good idea. Silk pillowcase.
Yeah, yeah, I'm gonna be doing a video about that sometime, I
Nice.
think in June. I'm working with a silk company to do a video about that. So
Nice. So yeah, there's
yeah.
just and skincare and makeup. Oh,
Yeah, I
my
did a
friends,
video about my skincare routine because people were asking
yes,
about that. So I recommend the
all
products I
these
use
different
there.
things. And I've
Yeah.
actually used some of these. rose water spray.
Yeah, I love that.
All right. So let me stop share. But yeah, there's just her YouTube and website if you want to check that out. But I watched the video where you were talking about cutting your hair off and just starting over. Can you kind of go into that story and why you decided to do that?
Yeah, well, it really starts before I actually cut my hair. So I grew up with very curly hair, like much curlier than it is now. Like people would ask me if I was mixed because of how curly my hair was. It was just like a big afro, basically. Especially once I got to puberty, it just like was so curly and I felt so weird about it. But then eventually, like with high school, I discovered the curly girl method. And that was good for me for that time because it helped me just be confident in wearing my hair loose.
Right.
And having nice looking curls that weren't always frizzy. But the problem was deep in my heart, I always wanted to have very long hair. And I was, I would never cut my hair. I would just get very minimal trims here and there. And it was just never growing past a certain point. And by the time I had my first child, it kind of exacerbated that. So I started having more hair breakage, obviously hair shedding. And so my hair ended up being like very different lengths after my first child. Like I had some long sort of stringy pieces underneath and then other areas that had broken off so much that they were a lot shorter. And it was just really bothering me. And I started researching hair care at that time and thinking more about what I could do to get my hair to grow. And the more I thought about it, the more I just figured, you know what, I just need a totally clean start and I just need to cut all of these stringy ends. And in hindsight, I wouldn't have done that, just FYI. But I ended up cutting my hair to like literally here. And it was just all the same length because that was something else I discovered at that time was that I didn't want to do layers anymore. And I figured layers were sort of like part of my problem that I've been personally having with my hair not growing. And anyway, so I cut it all to the same length because that was how short I had to cut it to get it to be all the same length, basically. And it was a huge identity crisis.
Yeah. Because women, we love, our hair, it's
important.
Who we are. Yeah.
Yeah. So. I felt like I'd lost for me, I'd always had long hair. So I felt like I'd lost some aspect of my femininity when I cut it that short. I know like not everyone's going to feel that way because some women love having their hair that short, but that was just how I felt. And there was a long period of time after that where I got really obsessive about my hair length. And that's why in hindsight, I wouldn't have done it that way if I could do it again, because I got so obsessive about, is it growing? Has it grown a centimeter? And always looking at my hair in the mirror, trying to see if it had grown longer. And then once it got to a certain point, then I just kind of forgot about it and moved on. And that's when it really started growing again. So it's just funny how that works.
Yeah, it's like a mental thing.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't think I could cut. I've had curly hair too since I was little, not super curly. This is about the curliness that I've had. Now, because I straighten my hair almost every day. Well, I wash my hair twice a week and so I only use heat twice a week. So I wash it, I blow dry it, and the next day I put it in a ponytail and curl it. And then those curls last for a couple days. But because I straighten it and do that every week, it's not as curly as it was when I was younger. I think I had more curl when I just did it curly all the time. But I'm interested, especially for summer. I like going the curly route. I feel like my hair does better in the summer with the humidity with curls rather than trying to straighten it because you got the frizz and everything that's going on. So is your hair care routine, it's 100% natural, correct?
Yeah. That was the place I came to. Actually, even before I cut my hair, I'm pretty sure I went completely natural with like everything in my life to the point of being pretty extreme in some ways. And I've relaxed a bit just since the years have passed. But in the area of hair, I only use products in my hair that are natural, that are technically edible, that are usually things that I've made myself. So
nice. You hear that, Nicole? And we're going to go over what that is. So Nicole also has very long, pretty hair, and she did it curly yesterday too, kind of like yours. So I think she'll like this. Nice. So explain to me what your hair care routine is now. And have you pretty much, I know you said have you pretty much stuck to that since you cut it off, doing the same kind of routine?
Yeah, with small variations here and there, it's been essentially the same thing. I will say that actually, ironically, my hair routine has simplified quite a bit the longer
Mhm.
it's gotten, simply because
Nice.
when it was so short and I was obsessed about growing it, I was trying all of the like hair treatments on YouTube that you can find to make it grow,
Yes.
like the DIY ones, I mean. But
Right.
yeah, the basic skeleton of the hair routine has stayed pretty much the same. So a big main tenet of my hair care routine has been doing at least one oil treatment every week.
Okay.
So for me, I do this the night before I plan on washing my hair. So I'll use some type of oil in the length of my hair. The type of oil changes, and then I'll use some type of oil on my scalp. So usually the oil that I use on my scalp is something that maybe it's a herbal hair oil blend that I've made
Mhm.
myself to promote hair growth, or maybe it's one that I've bought, or maybe it's just something as simple as castor oil mixed with rosemary essential oil. That's good
Mhm.
too. So I'll put that on my scalp. I'll put some other type of oil on my hair length. That's when I detangle my hair, because that was one of the big things that I changed in my routine when I cut my hair and when I stopped doing the curly girl method.
Mhm.
Because the curly girl method is great. Like, don't get me wrong, it's helpful for a lot of people. But I realized that for me, one of the things that was making my hair not grow or was making it break all the time was that I was detangling it while it was soaking wet in the shower, which
Yeah.
is what the curly girl
Yep.
routine recommends. And it does create nice looking curls. Like, no one can argue with that. But
Mhm.
your hair is 30% more weak when it's wet. So if you're pulling a comb through it when it's wet, it's more likely to break.
Okay.
So anyway, when I do my oil treatment, that's when I also finger detangle. Um, and then the next day I'll do my hair wash routine, which basically consists of using a natural product called Rasul clay.
Mhm.
So I'm sure most people are familiar with like clay face masks, for example. This is the same type of powder that could be used in a clay face mask, but the only difference is I mix it with water. So it's makes quite like a watery solution. I don't make it thick, because if it's too thick, it's hard to rinse out of your hair. So I make this watery solution with the clay powder and with water, and I apply that to my scalp and my hair. And I love the clay powder because once I went natural with my hair care routine, as a curly haired person, one of the biggest struggles was, how do I have nice looking curls that
Yeah.
are defined without loading on all of these styling products every day
Yep.
that make my hair crispy, that make it so that I can't detangle, that make
It's
it so that I
crispy.
can't detangle unless it's wet, for example.
Right.
And the clay is really an amazing thing because it cleanses your hair of excess oil. So, like for me, it's able to remove all the oil that I apply in my oil treatment,
Mhm.
unless I go too heavy with the oil, which I've kind of learned what that looks like for me. But it can remove excess oils. It also conditions and nourishes your hair because it's full of minerals. It's literally from the earth. It's just like full of these nourishing minerals. And then for me, it also defines my curls. Like as soon as I've done my clay wash, just right in the shower, my curls look so defined as if I had applied some sort of styling product, which is really revolutionary for me, because when I was doing the curly girl method and using like some kind of shampoo and then conditioner, you come out of the shower and your hair is kind of a mess. And
Mhm.
you have to like then go in with all of your styling products to get
Mhm.
those curls back.
Yep.
So this hair wash routine has been like revolutionary because it's a way of washing my hair that, if anything, it makes the curls look better, not
Mhm.
worse. So it's been really cool that way.
That's cool. So
Yeah.
how many times are you thinking once a week? About once a week you wash your hair?
Yeah. For most of my hair care routine, it's always been once a week. I will say when my hair was shorter, I think I did it a little more often than that sometimes. But for most of the time, it's been once a week. I should specify my hair has been cut short for 6 years. So we're talking about like a 6 year period where
Right.
I've been learning this routine. So
Mhm.
once a week, but actually this winter, I've been doing once every 2 weeks,
Okay.
which is seems like a long time, but the process of researching that hair care video and actually reading historical hair care manuals, for example, made me realize that um, all throughout most of history, people didn't wash their hair nearly as often as we
No.
do today. Like
Mm-mm.
there would be these hair care manuals that would say, oh yes, it's very important to wash your hair frequently. And so I'd be thinking, okay, they're going to say you should wash it every 3 days or something. And then they'd say, wash it every 2 weeks.
Yeah.
I'd be like, what?
Yep.
That's frequent.
Mhm.
So, yeah, I've been doing every 2 weeks, and the boar bristle brush has actually helped a lot with that. And also, since I released my first video, I've been getting a lot of emails from people, and some of these emails have been from women who have much longer hair than I do, just kind of telling me what they do with their hair. And something that stuck out to me with all of these women was that they have a very minimalist hair routine, and they don't wash their hair often at all, like every 2 to 3 weeks. So after hearing that, it kind of motivated me to go that extra week, basically.
Right. And I don't think people realize, I have curly hair, so my scalp tends to be more dry, and Amanda asked, let me ask this really quickly because I don't want to miss this question. Can you ask Katherine if she knows if someone with fine straight hair would use the same type of boar brush as someone with her hair type? My hair is also down to my tailbone, but fine and straight.
Yes, this is one of my most frequently asked questions, not specifically about the brush, but from people with fine straight hair asking if they can adapt the routine. So yes, the boar bristle brush that I recommend is an 100% boar bristle brush. So there's basically 2 different types of boar bristle brushes on the market today. There's ones that are only made with boar bristles. So those are the 100% kind. And those are typically marketed as being for people with thin and fine hair. I'll get into that in a minute. And then there's the other kind that's called a mixed boar bristle brush that has nylon bristles mixed in. They're a bit longer and they're a bit stiffer, so it actually detangles your hair and kind of like penetrates into thick hair better. But I only recommend the 100% boar bristle brush because that's what people use throughout history. And I'm basing, like, my belief in the benefits of boar bristle brushing is literally based on looking back on hundreds of years of human history of people using this type of brush. Clearly it worked for them because so many historical women had like gorgeous long hair.
They did.
But the type of brush they were using was the 100% boar bristle brush.
Okay.
Now, the reason why in the modern day these brushes are marketed as being for only thin hair is simply because they don't penetrate into hair. They don't detangle hair. But that's not what they're actually supposed to do. So historically, when people use these, they would do it after detangling their hair. So they would go in with a wooden comb or whatever tool they were using, detangle their hair, and then use the boar bristle brush. And it was more of just like a sort of dry shampoo tool, a conditioning tool, because it picks up the oils from your scalp and distributes them all the way down. It gets your hair looking shiny. So yeah, so you can definitely use the same brush I use because I use the brush that's actually recommended for people with thin hair, basically, in a nutshell.
Okay. Yeah. And how often do you brush your hair? Do you do it every day?
No, because I have curly hair, I have to be very selective about when I do it, basically.
I know all your battles because I've lived with this my whole life, but I would love to have long, I've gone through periods with longer hair, but I always usually trim a lot off because of dead ends. You know how that is. So I would love to have long, and I would love to have thicker. My hair is not as thick as people think it is. So I don't know. I feel like this, and have you noticed, I feel like since I got the C word, that illness, I feel like it has affected my hair loss quite a bit. And a lot of times
I've heard
when
from
it's
a lot of women saying that.
Yes. And I just run my hair through my hand. I will cut handfuls of hair is falling out. And so I've been trying to use, and then also right here, I do have some regrowth here. Even Kelly or Hannah's too. And I'm still getting regrowth from the postpartum. I always lose it right here. I have bald spots right there.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah. And then, but I noticed you have regrowth too, which you'll probably,
I get more of that in pregnancy, but I'm also chalking it up to some of the, like, I've just, ever since my hair video went viral and inspired a lot of people, it's also kind of re-inspired me.
Yeah.
So I've been like using my herbal hair growth oil more regularly, doing the boar bristle brushing, which stimulates your scalp a lot. So it could be pregnancy, but I think it's also partially just using these practices more like dedicatedly since my video.
And I want to use your herbals because a lot of women don't know rosemary oil has helped me tremendously. after my last few babies. I've seen new growth within weeks of using it. So rosemary is awesome.
Yeah, after my last baby, I did have hair loss, but it was never super bad because at the same time as I was losing hair, I was regrowing a bunch of hair. So it was never really noticeable. So there's definitely things you can do.
Yeah. And that's why I wondered, because I wondered if, since you've incorporated the hair care routine, if that helped with postpartum loss.
Oh, it for sure did, especially looking back on my last pregnancy. This is another tangent that I won't totally go off on, but in terms of diet,
yes.
With this being my 5th pregnancy, I had a lot of fears kind of going into it of like how my body was going to handle it, because ever since having the 3rd and the 4th baby, I could really see just more of a toll that pregnancy had taken on my body.
Yes.
And I was getting into this sort of like poor me mindset of like blaming it on pregnancy itself. And of course, there is an element of truth in that because pregnancy is a big demand on our body. But I was doing intermittent fasting between the 3rd and 4th babies, and even sort of in the pregnancy and in the postpartum. And in hindsight, like I've been learning more about pro-metabolic health lately, which is basically like making sure you're eating enough as a woman, especially. And so I've been looking back on that time and being like, it's amazing I didn't lose like half my hair because I was not eating enough. Like I was going hungry. I wasn't prioritizing eating. I was kind of using the intermittent fasting as an excuse to get busy with being a mom and doing things and not eating. So I'm like, in hindsight, that hair care routine was amazing because I didn't lose like half my hair like I probably would have if I hadn't have been doing all that stuff.
You just described me, basically.
I think it's moms in general. That's something I say to so many people because I've been getting so many emails. A lot of them are from moms like my age, like asking for help because they're losing hair. And I always try to mention, like, just make sure you're eating enough too. Like I give them tips about what to do on a topical level, but I also just always mention, make sure you're eating enough because I know personally that as a mom, it's easy to let that fall by the wayside. And it's easy to think you're eating enough when you're actually not. Yeah. And that does affect our hair.
Yeah, it really does. And my eating's been bad this year. I started out really, really well with Trim Healthy Mama. I do better when I stick to a consistent thing like that because then I am eating breakfast and lunch and supper and snacks. I feel like oftentimes I'll have my coffee, and most women here know that I'll go until noon, 1 o'clock before eating. Yeah. And then by the evening, I'm famished. So then I'm just eating whatever. I'm just hungry and I'm snacking. And that's really bad. I'm going to get.
Yeah, I was totally like that before.
Yeah, no, it does play a difference. It does, definitely. Jenny asked, can you ask her what she does with her hair when she takes a shower since she doesn't wash her hair? Do you use a hairnet or shower cap or something?
I'll usually just put my hair up in a bun and just kind of aim the shower so it doesn't get my hair wet. If I'm really worried about it, then I'll put on my, like either a silk scarf, I'll wrap it around my hair, or my silk sleeping cap. I recommend one of those on my website. But most of the time I just kind of put it up and it's fine.
Okay. So are you thinking with the boar brush, you probably, I'm just going to take a guess, you brush your hair before your showers or before you wash it?
Yeah. I'm glad we got back to that.
Yes.
Yeah. So with the boar bristle brush, because I have curly hair, I just washed my hair a couple of days ago. So my curls are like on one of their better days today. So I'm not going to go in with a boar bristle brush because first of all, it would to some degree brush out the curls. And it would also get my hair all tangled, because the thing about a 100% boar bristle brush is if you go into your hair having not detangled it first, especially if you have thicker hair, it can actually cause matting. So you have to get the tangles out first, and then the boar bristle brush comes in afterwards. And again, it's like a health tool, a conditioning tool. It's not meant to get tangles out. Right. So I only start boar bristle brushing once my hair has gotten to a point where the curls are more stretched out. I've been working on getting the tangles out because I finger detangle. So I tend to do this in the evenings. If I'm watching a show or whatever, I'll just kind of work on getting tangles out. And once I've gotten it to a point where A, the tangles are out, and B, my hair is looking like it needs a little TLC just to keep looking nice, that's when I start using the boar bristle brush. Okay. So for example, like it's only at the end of the week when I do my milkmaid braids style, because that's when it's gotten to the point where I've been brushing it with the boar bristle brush. It's looking smooth and shiny, so it can look good in that style. That's just because I have curly hair. So like my curls, they don't necessarily look great in that style unless they've been smoothened by the brush.
Yes, exactly.
So yeah. But I always say to people with curly hair, if they like wearing their curls loose on a daily basis like this, then you can just use the brush right before you wash your hair, and you can still get a lot of benefits from the practice without having to brush out your curls.
Yes, that's what, when I wear my hair curly, I literally brush it right out of the shower when it's still wet. That's it. That's it. A brush doesn't touch it again until, I just, because it, it would destroy all the curls. So
yeah, for sure.
And then have you found when you put your hair up into your silk hairnet or whatever you were, what you called it, does that keep the curls nice when you take it out?
Yes, absolutely. So I have a style that I do on days like this. Like, let's say I've just washed my hair and I want to wear it loose the next day. So I don't want to go to bed and have my curls just all like loose, or I don't want to go to bed and braid my hair, for example, which is what I do later on, because that would just flatten out my hair. So I'll put my hair in a big giant bun right on the top of my head, and then I wrap a silk scarf around it. And my curls come out from that style still looking great. If anything, it helps them be more voluminous after being in that style. So it's later in the week, once I'm not wearing my hair loose anymore, that's when I'll sleep with 2 braids in my hair.
Okay. Yep. That's how I do my hair when it's curly. I just put it up in a big bun. And then today I just literally took the bun out and pinned some back. And
it's so low maintenance. It's great.
Yep. That was it. So Joyce asked, did she talk about how to use clay when you have done thin hair? I think, did she talk about using clay when you have thin hair? I've tried it several times and it just weighs my hair down and makes it feel gritty. Yeah, fine.
Yeah, so I don't know how thick of a mixture she's using, but if you're using too thick of a clay mixture, then it's going to be hard to rinse it out of your hair, especially if you have fine hair, and it's going to leave a residue, which could make your hair be weighed down. So the ratio I recommend for people who are starting, especially if you have thinner hair, is 2 cups of liquid. So this could just be water, to 1/4 cup of the clay powder. And you have to mix it really well to make sure there's no lumps in it. And then you rinse it out really well. Like, you have to rinse it out more than you think you need to, because there could be some left. And then the key thing, in my opinion, is that you follow up with an apple cider vinegar rinse, which is just about 2 cups of water to 2 to 4 tablespoons of raw apple cider vinegar. And what this does is it seals the hair cuticle. It's a pH balancer because it's acidic, and hair's natural pH is a bit acidic. And obviously clay is the opposite of acidic. It's full of minerals. So you kind of want to use something a bit acidic to get the last bits of clay off your hair and just to like seal it and make it shiny and manageable again.
Okay, nice. I'm glad you went over the ratio because I was also interested in that.
I actually have my video this Friday is going to cover a lot of these questions because I'm doing an FAQ video. So a lot of these questions keep coming up.
Right. And she said she did all that crying emoji.
Did she do, I guess she did the thin mixture. You could just try like making it a little thinner, or you could even just, it doesn't have to be all or nothing. Like, you could just make clay be like a once a month treatment that you do, and then use whatever natural shampoo or whatever works for you on the other days. And then you're still getting the benefits of the clay once a month. And also the boar bristle brush can help if you do have any residue left in your hair and it's feeling weighed down. Once it's completely dry, going in with the boar bristle brush and gently brushing your hair can remove any little bits of particles or clay that's left in your hair. So that's another tip.
Have you found that your scalp has adapted? Because I know when a lot of people go to less shampooing, they get a lot of side effects, oiliness, Have you noticed, do you ever use, answer the first one. Has your scalp adapted? And then do you ever use any type of dry shampoo or anything that would be similar to that?
Okay. So in terms of my scalp, I would consider my scalp to be quite dry.
Yeah,
compared to
mine is
most
too.
people. So
Mine
I've
too.
really never struggled with oiliness. That's not to say that my scalp doesn't get oily, because especially recently, now that I'm going 2 weeks between washes,
Mm-hmm.
I do notice some oil at my scalp, like obviously by the second week. So that's when
Mm-hmm.
I'll talk about the dry shampoo stuff next.
Yeah.
But um scalps and hair definitely do adapt. I've seen this on my sons, even as an example. They all have straight hair. And even my 2-year-old son, just as an example, normally we only use water to wash their hair. We just
Mm-hmm.
rinse it in the shower with water. But when we went to visit family for Christmas, my mother-in-law bought this nice organic like baby wash, because she loves giving them baths while we're at their house. So she was giving them baths and she was washing their hair with this. And I was fine with it. Like, I don't care. I'm not picky about what anyone does if they're
Yeah.
bathing my boys.
Right.
But when we got back, I noticed his hair started being oily.
Huh.
And I was like, oh, he looks like he needs to shampoo his hair. Like, I'm the hair guru here, and my
Yeah.
son has oily hair. And we just kind of like got through that phase. And now that we haven't been shampooing his hair in any way, his hair is balanced again. So that's just something I can say from my experience, because although my scalp is drier, I can definitely see this in other people's hair. And I've heard from people who have gone no shampoo talk about how
Yeah.
they used to have an oily scalp, or they used to need to wash every day or every other day.
Mm-hmm.
And now they don't, once they've kind of adjusted, because God basically made our bodies amazing. He made our bodies to be these like adapting, like
Mm-hmm.
have all these adaptive mechanisms, so it can always be at equilibrium. So our scalp, if we're applying these relatively harsh shampoos every day that strip away all the oils, our scalp wants to have oil on it. So it's like, oh no, mayday, mayday, like produce more oil.
Right.
And likewise, if you're not applying all of those things, it's going to eventually, it will slow down the oil production.
Okay. Yeah, I really asked that too, because I have a couple kids. I have a couple kids like mine with just a little bit of natural curl. They tend to be a little drier. But then my other ones with the more fine hair, Abigail, Chloe, Abby says she has to wash it like every other day. She's like, and I can see the oil, the
Mm.
oil in it. She has very oily skin, but I'm wondering if she switched to something like this, if it would regulate,
She
after a
could
while.
definitely draw out the amount of time. Like, it's going to
Hmm.
look different for everyone. Not everyone's going to be able to go a week or 2 weeks between washes.
Right.
But I think there's a good chance that most people, if they change things up a little bit, can just drag out the amount of time between washes, whatever that looks like for them. So I
Right.
have a few tricks. I guess we can talk about the dry shampoo stuff
Hmm.
now.
Yeah.
So yes, I do sometimes use a DIY dry shampoo. So
Hmm.
I just mix cornstarch with a little cocoa powder. The cocoa powder is just to darken it a little bit.
Right.
And you can also add essential oils to this to make it smell nice. And then I got a barber's brush. It's like the brush that barbers use to brush off people's necks. I
Hmm.
just dip it in the powder and I put it on my scalp, and then use my boar bristle brush to like brush it in.
Okay.
And that's what I do once my hair is starting to be a little bit greasy right here, and maybe I want to put it up in a style and this hair is looking greasy. I'll do that and it works great. Something else I do is I use these I have a couple different recipes for like a natural cleansing scalp spray or hairspray. So
Hmm.
this is what I did on my 2-year-old son when he was going through his little oily phase.
Right.
I have this herbal hairspray that I make. I have a YouTube short about it. It's just a
Hmm.
very simple recipe, and it has some Ayurvedic herbs in it that are known to act sort of as a herbal shampoo. So if you spray this on your scalp, it actually does a really good job at degreasing once it dries, of course. It sort of just magically cleanses your hair. It's also sort of a volumizer, which is nice too.
Hmm.
And then an even simpler recipe is just apple cider vinegar and water in a spray bottle. And that's also a gentle cleanser for hair between washes.
Okay. Nice. So, you wear your hair down, what, 4 or 5 days a week, or?
Yeah, so I'm wearing it down now. The rest of my day, earlier today, though, I did have it up in my bun on the top of my head.
Right.
So, like, there's days in the week where my curls are looking nice enough where it's an option to wear it down. Like, if I'm going out to church, okay, I'll take the curls down. If I'm
Right.
filming a video, I'll take the curls down. But I generally have gotten to a point where I just prefer having it up and out of the way because it's so long now and I don't want my kids to pull on it or whatever.
Yeah.
But yeah, so there's like 2 to 3 to 4 days a week where it's an option to wear it down because the curls are looking nice. And then the other days, that's when I do all of my protective hairstyles, which I have a big long video about on my channel.
Yes.
Yeah.
I like the milkmaids. I need to try that with mine.
Yeah, it's cute. It works
really
with a lot
cute.
of different hair lengths too.
Yeah, it does. Julia asked, what's the best way to encourage my 2-year-old's hair to grow? My hair grows so fast. I've never thought about it before, but her hair is not gaining length very well.
Let me think. Like my 2-year-old's hair, I guess his hair is growing, but he's my first baby who has like a good amount of hair growth by age 2. The other boys are all really slow. So on the one hand, I'd say it's not necessarily something to worry about when they're 2 because their hair is just kind of booting up. It's just starting.
Yeah.
But if I had a little girl, let's say, and her hair wasn't growing and I really wanted to make it grow, I would definitely get a gentle boar bristle brush. So get one with fairly soft bristles because you don't want to scratch their head, and just brush her hair and scalp gently with this, maybe once a day, maybe every other day. And that will stimulate her follicles more. And if you want to get really fancy, you could do like a herbal hair oil treatment on her scalp, maybe once a week. Just massage it in several hours before you plan on washing it. And I think those 2 things would be good.
Yeah, Hannah has really bad hair.
Yeah,
I need to try that on Hannah. She was bald forever, and she finally has a little bit of growth. It's a mullet. She's a mullet baby right now.
Oh yeah, my 2-year-old is too.
Yeah, we kind of put it up in pigtails a lot, but she's I think that would be good, especially. I don't know. I almost feel like rubbing in herbal oils before bed too would just kind of
it would be so relaxing.
Yes.
Yeah.
It would really calm them down. So they probably liked it. Angie said, I've never heard of not using soap. I'm super intrigued and will be researching this. So these tips will work on straight, fine hair as well. She said.
Yes, they would work, but I always say you need to be open to tweaking the routine to work for you. Right. So something I've seen a lot of since my first video came out, and I did sort of like a week in the life routine on that video. And so I had a lot of people who were reaching out saying, help, my hair is feeling too oily and I've been doing your routine. And the first thing I ask is, how much oil are you using? And what kind of oil are you using? And then they might say, oh, I'm doing exactly what you did on your video. I'm using lots of castor oil and da 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 da. And I always say, that's what works for my hair, but it's probably not going to work for your hair, especially if your hair is shorter. So I do recommend oils to everybody, but there's so many different types of oils out there. And so I typically recommend something light like jojoba oil. And you don't need to use a lot of it. It can just be a once a week thing that you do before your wash, and make sure you don't overdo it, because if you overdo it, it's going to be harder to rinse it out.
Right. Yes.
Yeah.
I'm inspired. I want to try this. I'm going to Florida this week, and I probably won't start this week, but I think next week after I get back, I might try to go curly again for a while. See what happens.
Yeah. Good.
We'll see what happens. The reason that I go straight is because it's so easy. I wake up, I brush, I pin some back, and I go. But I mean, curls can be easy too. It took me 3 minutes to do my hair today. You know, it's just, I do diffuse it. Now, do you use heat at all on your hair?
No, I never use heat, but I do have a blow dryer and a diffuser that I'll use. Not necessarily after every time I wash my hair, but certainly if I want my curls to look nicer, I'll use the diffuser, and I just use it with the room temperature air setting.
Okay. Yep. I've used a diffuser since I was like 15 or something. It really brings the curls out a lot with my hair, but I think you've definitely inspired me. And then Julia asked if you ever get headaches from the weight of having your hair up. When her hair was longer,
there's been a few times maybe that, like, I can count on one hand the amount of times in the last year that I've noticed a headache. I don't know if it was the hairstyle or if it was like, maybe I had a silk scarf wrapped around my hair and it was a little too tight. That actually might have been it. So generally I would say no. There's different styles that you can do that distribute the weight of your hair really well. So I have heard from women who have much longer hair than me, who do say that they tend to get headaches if they do something like a big bun right here. But if they do the milkmaid braids, for example, it distributes the weight very evenly, so they don't have headaches. But that hasn't been something I've had to deal with personally.
Okay. I think I had watched this old historical video, or they were like, they lived life like they did back in the 1800s, and they never washed their hair. Like they only ever used the clay, I believe is.
Yeah, they had a hair powder that they would add into their hair. Yeah.
Yep. I don't think
that's fascinating to me.
It is. I know. And I don't think I could ever be that hardcore. But
they had a totally different aesthetic though. Like they liked having the powdery looking hair.
Yes.
And they had really big hairstyles. So they kind of needed all that powder to act like a hairspray in a sense.
Right. And that was another question. So you never use hairspray. You only use the gel that you make with the flax seeds?
Yeah, if I am going to use a styling product, it's only the flaxseed gel. And I don't even use that every time because I dry detangle my hair. So I can't have too much of anything that makes it crispy, basically.
Right.
So I've basically come to the point with my hair where my main goal is health and length. Not necessarily having perfect looking hair. Right. So in situations where I feel like those two goals conflict, I'm always going to go with the one that is more healthy, but not necessarily as perfect looking. Right. Because I used to be all into the perfect frizz-free curls and I had all these products, but now I'm like, oh, it's fine.
That's kind of where I am with the curly hair. I will literally use like 5 different products because you have the curl defining cream, you have the curly spray, you have the curly gel, you have the curly mousse, and you have the hairspray. That's like literally 5 or 6.
Yeah. Right? There's a lot of marketing out there.
Yes, there is. So for me, it seems like a simpler routine would be amazing. You know, if I'm going to wear it curly, like I said, when I do it straight, it's pretty simple, but doing the curls, I think that sounds amazing to me. I'm surprised I think your curls look great. And I've seen your videos too, and I think they look great. And I'm surprised that you don't put anything. That shocks me that you don't put
like the very first hair care video, there was nothing in that hair. No gel, like no flaxseed gel, nothing.
Wow,
and I chalk it up to the clay. I guess the oils help too, like the oil treatment that I do before, but the clay especially, it really defines curls. And I've been hearing this back now from other people who've been trying it, saying like, wow, like it's really helping bring out my natural curl or wave pattern. So it's really good to hear because it's not just my experience, then it's other people as well.
Right. And is it bentonite clay that you're talking about, or is there another thing here on your website?
So the clay I use is called Rasul clay.
Rasul. Okay.
Yeah. So I have bentonite listed on my website because it's more common, like more people know about it and more people might already have it in their home. And also it is probably better for people with oilier hair.
Okay.
I'm not just going to give it a blanket recommendation because that's not what I personally use. So I can't really like speak to that. But generally speaking, it's better at stripping away oils than Rasul clay. So yeah.
Okay. And then what did you use the shea butter for?
The shea butter is something I don't necessarily use all the time. Basically, I use it the same way I would use oils. So for example,
here's the rest
in the winter time, if I want to, something that's important in my hair routine is something called sealing my ends. Okay. Which is when I get out of the shower, for example, and my hair is damp, I like to apply a little bit of oil to the ends to just seal in that moisture to my ends because they're the most prone to getting brittle and breaking over time. So if it's wintertime, I might mix a little jojoba oil with shea butter to make an even more potent like hair sealing mixture because shea butter is obviously very thick. But I don't use it all the time. And I don't necessarily recommend it for people with like straight hair or fine hair. It's sort of something you have to evolve with. Like I only started using it a lot once my hair got pretty long, which is another point that when your hair is longer, sometimes you need to use more oils. And when your hair is shorter, you have to be more cautious with the oils.
Right. What is the fenugreek seeds for?
That is one of the ingredients in my herbal hair growth oil, which I have a video and article all about.
Okay. Yep. So everything is here that you would need for all this. And then what are the organic sulfur crystals?
Yes, so that's a supplement that I've been taking since 2020. I've been taking it consistently, and I have noticed a huge difference in how fast my hair grows from taking that.
Okay.
And I put a lot of research into supplements that I take. I'm not a huge supplement taker. I
Mm-hmm.
prefer to get most of my nutrients from food and things like that. But
Right.
the MSM is something that is deficient in most people's diets today. It's
Mhm.
sulfur, basically. And sulfur is supposed to come from our soil, which then goes into our food. But due to the way farming is today, sulfur is typically one of the first things to go out of the soil. And sulfur is very important for a lot of things, including hair health and skin health. And the brand I take is like a more high quality brand, so I'm not worried about any sorts of fillers and things in it.
Mhm.
And I've noticed a big difference just from looking back at photos of my hair, like how slow it was growing before I started taking the MSM versus after. It's definitely sped up the hair growth rate for me.
Oh, awesome. Yep. I was just
Yeah.
wondering. Okay. So if you want to start a healthier hair care routine, because we know obviously I put the damage that American hair routine can bring to our hair. You're Canadian, but I know
It's
it's,
fine.
yes, it's very similar. Products there, I'm sure, are just as similar as American products.
Yes.
You've got the concern of chemicals and different things that they're putting. I've used Aussie Freeze hairspray for like probably 25, 30 years. So yeah, if I get a brain tumor, it probably is related to the Aussie Freeze hairspray. I'm just gonna say that. But what are some steps a newbie like me, someone that's not crunchy in this area at all, except for her hair, might
That's
have
funny.
crunchy hair, but I'm not crunchy, at all with this. What are just some steps that I could start out taking?
That's a great question. I would say the first step is realizing things in your brain, because once you realize things in your brain, it's going to
Mhm.
motivate you more to start
Right.
changing things. So for me, for example, one of the first things I realized was after my first child was born, I started doing a lot of research into natural health and learned about the dangers of a lot of the ingredients that are in our daily personal care products, especially soap and toothpaste and hair products and all of those things that
Mhm.
we're using every day. And there's a lot of ingredients in there that either are just kind of like wishy-washy or are actually known carcinogens or
Right.
known toxins. So that was a big part of it for me. And then on the flip side, you could also just start learning more about what is good for hair. Like, what does hair
Mhm.
like? Like, for example, if you want to grow longer hair, well, you need to learn more about how to prevent breakage. And so that
Mhm.
just kind of gets your wheels going about is what I'm going to do like going to make more breakage or going to make less breakage? And it just kind of starts the ball rolling anyways. And then so in a practical level, some things you can do are I definitely recommend incorporating oil treatments for everybody. And like I already said, this is going to look different for everyone. So if you have straighter hair, you're going to want to use something light like jojoba oil. And if you
Mhm.
have curly or thick or dry hair, you can use something a little heavier, like maybe olive oil. I mean, coconut oil is pretty heavy. I actually don't even
Mm.
use coconut oil very often, but there's a whole range of different oils. And I would recommend doing an oil treatment once a week before you wash your hair and look into some type of oil that you can put on your scalp. You could just do something very simple like mixing a regular oil with some rosemary essential oil and putting it on your
Mhm.
scalp once a week. That's a great thing to start. And in terms of the clay wash, I'm a big believer in the benefits of clay wash or Raso clay specifically, but it doesn't have to be an all or nothing thing. You don't have to
Mhm.
just completely throw out your shampoo right away. You can start using the Raso clay as like a thing on the side. Like, so you're still shampooing your hair with whatever you're using. Maybe try to shampoo it less often than you were if you were doing it very frequently. And then you can use the Raso clay maybe like after you shampoo, I would say. I would say after, just like as a rinse sort of thing. And
Mhm.
then you can use your conditioner and rinse out your hair. And even just doing that once a month is going to be better than not doing it at all. So
Right.
just start off with baby steps.
Yep. Also, that brought to mind a question. Have you ever gotten this question before? Is the clay okay for your septic?
That's a good question. I don't have a septic system.
Yeah, I was
But
just thinking of that as I was thinking of rinsing when you were talking about rinsing. I'm thinking you're rinsing the clay out into your septic. Is that okay for pipes? Is that okay for your septic tank? I don't know. That's
yeah, so I
interesting.
don't have septic, but I've never had problems with my pipes ever.
Mhm.
I've never
Okay.
had my shower drain clog up from that
Right.
or anything. So
Hmm.
I can't speak to the septic bed. Maybe I'd have to ask my dad about that because he has a septic bed and he knows all
Yeah.
about it.
Uh-huh.
But
You should. Yeah.
um, pipes, I've never had a problem with. And it's also important that you're using a thin, sorry, I'm kind of clogged up right now.
That's okay.
Still recovering. It's also important that you use a very watery clay mixture. So sometimes people think of clay and they're picturing like a clay face mask, which
Right.
is like mud. You're
Really
not using that
thick.
in your hair. It's going to be
Okay.
very watery.
Right. Julia asked, do you mix your clay wash every wash or do you mix it a big batch at once?
Every wash I mix it
Okay.
because I'm washing my hair so infrequently. Like if I wash my hair a few times a week, I would probably just mix up one batch for the week. But because I'm washing my hair every week or even every 2 weeks, I just mix it up. Usually I try to do it the night before I plan on washing just so I can hop in the shower first thing in the morning.
Right.
But it only takes 5 minutes. It's not a big deal.
Okay. Yeah. And Amanda said, I have super old and prone to clogging pipes and the clays have never affected them.
Oh,
So
good.
she kind of
That's good to
answered
know.
that. Chanello said something interesting. I wanted to ask you about this real quick. She said, I have Afrocentric hair, so my hair care is quite different. However, it is nice to learn the differences and similarities between Caucasian hair care and Afrocentric hair care. Do you have any Black people that follow your routine or have talked to you about
Oh,
your routine?
do I
Or
ever?
I'm
Let me just
interested in
say,
that. Yeah.
I learned most of what I do from Black people on YouTube who
Okay.
have gorgeous long hair
Mm-hmm.
because that's actually a huge area of inspiration for me is people with kinky hair
Mm-hmm.
because if they are going to grow long hair, it requires like 10 times the amount of effort than
Right.
people with straight hair. And most people with straight hair don't even realize that.
Mm-hmm.
So as soon as I started looking into hair care, I was like, well, what do people with kinky hair do?
Mm-hmm.
Because if their hair is growing, it must work. And
Right.
my hair it's not kinky, but it's closer to that end of the spectrum in what it likes than to people with straight hair. So I do
Right.
actually tend towards that. So literally pretty much all of the practices I do, like the hair oil treatments and the clay washes, I literally learned from people on YouTube with kinky hair.
Okay, very interesting. Yeah, I was just
Yeah.
wondering if they did. And she was asking about bentonite clay with eczema because Amanda does bentonite clay for eczema issues on her kids too. So,
Right. Yeah, I don't have personal experience with that, but I'm sure. But clay is a detoxer. So
mhm,
it draws out toxins from the skin. So that's why I say even using clay on a monthly basis is good, especially on your scalp, and especially if you're using commercial or conventional hair products, because those things do tend to build up in your scalp over time. And the clay will detox that out. So even doing it once a
right.
month is good.
I never use shampoo. It's very rare. Once every couple weeks that I will shampoo and condition Kelly and Hannah's hair in the bath. I
Hmm.
prefer to, I had gone for a long time without using shampoo on my hair. I was just using apple cider vinegar if I needed it. And
Nice.
so I prefer that for them.
Hmm.
And then, but I almost think this would be good for them too, even just using the clay once a week and then the oil, in their
Yeah,
scalp.
absolutely.
So
The
I think
vinegar is a great
yeah.
idea too. Just
Mhm.
even doing a vinegar rinse, especially for young kids, because their scalp is a clean slate. Like they
Right.
don't have the years and years of shampoo use that's making their scalp overproduce oil. So you
Mhm.
can kind of train their scalp to not produce oil by just using water or using a vinegar rinse instead of soap all the time.
Yep, that's good. All right, well, I think we are going to wrap it up. I didn't really follow the we kind of covered everything I wanted to. So
yeah, good.
I do want to know, what are your future plans though for the channel? I mean, you think you primarily going to focus on hair care, or are you going to keep doing your sewing? Are you going to branch out and maybe, I know a lot of influencers will go down the route of their own hair care products,
That's a good question. It's something I don't fully have the answer to myself at the moment, but
Yes.
yeah, once my hair care video went viral and I got all these new subscribers, these are people now who've subscribed to me primarily because they like the hair care stuff. And so ever since then, it seems like every time I post a sewing video, it's just kind of like bombing compared to the hair care stuff, which honestly, like at first I was kind of upset about it, but as I thought about it more, I realized it was actually kind of a good thing because I was feeling a little bit burned out anyways with the amount of effort that goes into the sewing videos.
Yeah.
And I just got to the point where I was like, well, this is working for me. It's bringing in good income. I enjoy talking about hair care most of the time. And it's sort of opened the door to more things that I like talking about, because now I've brought in this audience of people who are obviously more interested in natural health in general, and natural health in general is a big interest of mine. So I don't know what it's going to look like. I'm just kind of taking it day by day, but like for the short term, I can tell you that most of my upcoming videos are going to be about hair care because that's what I know does better right now. So yeah, like sewing, I'm going to do some sewing here and there, but I don't know, like it's a big dilemma I'm facing at the moment.
Right. And then you've got the whole, your name is Katherine Sewing.
I know, exactly.
So do you rebrand it? I know when we had started the channel, we came up with Gently Led Sisters. And then when Leslie had to step down, I had the suggestion, maybe you should change the name, but I didn't really want to rebrand it because it was Gently Led Sisters. So it's hard when you get your brand name out there.
Yeah. I've thought about that. And whenever I talk about it with Paul, he's like, just keep the name Katherine Sewing. People will just think it's your last name or something.
They might. They definitely might think that. So
yeah, like, I don't know. I'm not gonna change the name anytime soon because I don't think that's a good, like, you have to be very sure that that's what you want to do.
I know.
Before you do that.
You really do.
Sure, so.
Yeah. And you have all these subscribers now that know you as Katherine Sewing. So yes. Sorry guys, we're just talking YouTube things. I know most of you probably aren't interested, but I was just curious about upcoming things. Chanela set up funny comment. She said, haha, yes, kinky hair requires a lot. She said, Zionists and I, that's Zionist Bello, always joke around and say that when we get our new body, we want to come back, but we want to come back as Caucasian women.
Oh,
we would spend, I know, we would spend less time on our hair care.
I love kinky hair. I actually have my little sister, Ellie, is Black. She's adopted from South Africa. So she has gorgeous 4C kinky hair. So it's like as curly as hair can be, basically. And I love her hair. Like, she wears it natural. Sometimes she does the braided in extensions. And I know how much work goes in. Yeah. Because I know how much work goes into my hair, and I know how much more work goes into that type of hair. But I think it's gorgeous and it's so unique. And it, like, hair is beautiful. Like, God made so many different types of hair, and I say embrace it.
Me too. Yes. My sister, who is very, very white, very Caucasian, she married a Black man and they have 2 little girls, and she had to relearn hair care because she had to learn a whole different style for her girls. Yes. And
and that was what inspired me with my hair care, because growing up, I realized, like, my hair is so different from everyone else. I just can't have to throw out what everyone else is doing and just find my own thing, because all that stuff my straight haired friends are doing is not working for me.
Yes. And I completely relate to everything you're talking about because I have the same type of hair. So, but I like how you touched on, though, for all the listeners that don't have, curly hair like us, you touched on different things you can do for fine hair. And I like to what you say, you might have to adapt different things.
Yeah. You have to be open to adapting. Like, don't just take what I'm doing as gospel and just to copy it exactly.
Exactly.
Yeah. One more thing I'd like to quickly mention at the end is in the dry shampoo, when I talked about dry shampoo, something I forgot to mention is that the boar bristle brush is basically a form of historical dry shampooing. So for anyone with straighter or finer hair out there who's trying to transition away from shampoo altogether, or just trying to go with fewer washes, a boar bristle brush is invaluable for being able to, like, let's say you have a greasy scalp, you go in there with the boar bristle brush and it will redistribute those oils. So it no longer looks oily here. And the oils are actually ending up where they belong, which is down your hair length, conditioning it. Okay. So, and I've heard from a lot of people with straighter hair who said that that was the game changer for them, that helps them to shampoo less often. So something I want to throw out there.
I feel like if I spend the money on a boar brush, I need to literally bore a hole in the handle and chain it to my sink so my kids cannot lose it.
Yeah, I have the same problem.
Yes. I feel like I have just this wet brush that's supposed to help with not getting tangles or whatever, and it comes up missing. It's the good brush around the house. So I'm like, where's my pink brush? Where's my pink brush? It's always missing. So
yeah, you have to hide it.
I would
nice
have to
cloth
come
bag for it and stow it away in your drawer.
In my safe with my valuable papers and other things.
Yeah.
Hide it away. So yes, definitely. But if anyone has any questions, definitely leave them down below. I'm sure she'll check, or and then definitely check out her channel and leave questions there. I've noticed you answer quite a bit, if people have on their emails,
Yeah, email is probably the best way to get your questions answered recently, because I've been sort of, just with having a baby soon, I'm sort of checking out from social media a lot. So if you want to get a question answered, email is the best way.
Definitely. So but thank you for joining me.
Thanks for having me. I love
we got it worked out. We had good internet connection. That's what I wanted. So and excuse the mess. But ladies, I will be gone next week. I don't know. My flight comes in next Monday. For sure, I'm missing the 3:00. My husband has to pick me up in Chicago, but I might skip next week. I might not. I don't know. We'll see what happens. I'm going to be with some friends in Florida at Pastor Boyle's church. It should be a fun time. So there's about 7 or 8 of us that will be, 7 or 8 of my friends that are going, and it's going to be fun. I'll probably be posting pictures on my social media and all that stuff. So check it out if you want. But thank you very much, Katherine, for joining us. And hang on, don't end as soon as I'm going to end it here, and then I'll chat for a minute. But thanks, ladies, for joining us. Leave any questions or comments that you have, and we will see you later.
Okay.